Okay, welcome to part 3 of this series. In this video we're basically going to test what we did, this regular expression thing, and then continue on from there. So, just to test this for now, down here I'm just going to add print_r errors. And what that will do is sort of print out the whole errors array to the screen. So if we go back to our page, hit reload, we'll get that error. Don't worry about that for now, it's just because we haven't defined the errors array if the form hasn't been submitted. Anyway, if I just hit sign up, you see we get this key, this array output with this single key, or first name should contain only letters. That means that this condition has come out as false, so the regular expression function did not return, it did return 0 basically. Sorry, this condition has come out as true, meaning this, the regular expression function has returned 0. If I now type in A and hit sign up, we get an empty array, which means that the regular expression function has not returned 0, it's returned 1, which means this expression has matched the string that we supplied. Okay, so that means that sort of method of checking for characters only is working. So I'm just going to remove that sort of checking, testing, debugging, whatever you want to call it, code, and just come down some more lines because I'm going to do some more checks here. Alright, we need to check the same condition again on the last name. So I'm just going to copy this down, hit paste like so, and change this to last. And the same here, I should also say last. So that's now checking, making sure that the first name is sort of letters only, and the same for the last name. Okay, so after that we just need to make sure that we've validated the, after we've validated the first name and last name fields, we need to validate the email field. And we're going to check to see if the email they give us is a sort of valid, but it's in the form of a valid email address. It doesn't necessarily mean that there is someone at that address. So we are just going to check this using the filter var function. I've used it before to validate a URL. The other thing it can validate is an email address, which is what we're using it for here. So we're just going to do if filter var. This works the other way around, sort of. The first parameter is the thing you want to validate, or the thing you want to work with, which is post email. The second parameter is the mode for this function, which in this case is going to be filter validate email. And what this function will do, given these parameters, is return true if the email is valid and false if not. So we're just going to check it against false, like so. And if it does come out as false, we're just going to add a message like so. The message is going to be the email address you gave does not appear to be valid, like so, except we're going to spell not right. All looks good. So they're the sort of 3 main checks that we're going to be performing. So once we've got to this point, once we've got to this point, we will have done these checks and added any sort of necessary messages to the errors array. So actually now if I just put back, we'll get to that in a moment. I was going to say I'll put back the print_r, but we'll leave that out for now anyway. Okay, so after we've sort of coded out these checks, we want to make sure that none of them have sort of happened. So we're going to, the errors array is defined here as an empty array. So down here we're going to check if it's still empty, which will mean none of these conditions have basically happened. So if empty errors. If it is, we want to try and add the user, and if it isn't, we're just going to show a message. Well, we're going to add a message to this errors array. So if the errors array is still empty, we want to add user, which remember is the function we coded in the previous part, and this is going to take 3 parameters. The first one being post first name, the second one being post last name, and the final one being post email, like so. So what this should do now is add the user to the table if they don't cause any of these error conditions. As we have an empty table at the moment, just log back in. As we have an empty table, I can just test this by reloading our page, not resending the data, and I can just type in Bob BSON, he won't like that, Bob Bobun. Doesn't matter, does it? Okay. And then the email address can just be bob@internet.com. Hit sign up. Nothing seems to have happened. If I hit browse, we have 0 rows still. Okay, let's try and debug why this has happened. It's possible that we got an error condition here, so what I might do is add, or actually delete this, let's add the print _r errors back in. Have I typed? Okay, so let's reload this page, resend the data. Okay, we've got an empty array, which means that the query is being performed. This function is being called. So let's go to our backend file. I bet it's something really obvious. Values. Well, that all looks okay. First name, last name, email. Okay, well, the query is obviously being performed. So let's add the echo MySQL error function after the query is failing, which it seems to be. So let's, okay. Inset. Okay, that's annoying. Insert. Sorry about that, but there you go. Okay, so now if I just reload this page, we should have, yeah, there we go. We have Bob Bobson added to the table, and this is his email address. So you can see now that none of those error conditions were triggered because of the empty array, at least. Whoops, where's the sign up page? Right. So that's that done. Now remember that this function would return false if the user tried to subscribe with the same email address more than once. So what we need to do is check this function against false, and if it is false we want to add something to the errors array. So let's just do if this function equals false, don't need that anymore, and if it does we want to add something to errors, and that something is going to be, for one, the correct spelling of errors, and we're just going to say something went wrong, you may have already subscribed, because just we don't know that this is what caused the error. I mean, it's the most likely cause for the query to return to fail, but if it isn't, if that isn't the cause, then we don't necessarily know. So we're not just telling them they have subscribed, because we're just checking if it worked, basically. It should be there. Okay, so that's that sort of logic part done. And then down here, where I've got print underscore r errors, we just want to display the appropriate messages for the action that the user is taking. So I'll just go back to our table, and sorry, not table. Oops, cancel. Reload this page. Okay, ignore that for now. Because here, where this error is showing up, we want to show like a message saying, fill out the fields to subscribe or something. If they have filled out the fields, we want to show a list of errors. And if they have filled out the fields and there aren't any errors, we just want to say you have been registered, thank you, or something. Okay, so we're going to do that by doing 2 checks here. The first thing we're going to do is check if the errors array is empty. So we're going to do if empty errors. Sorry, if it's not empty. So if it's basically if it's got any errors in it. So if the errors array is not empty, we're going to do something. Else if, so if the errors array is empty, this means, which could mean one of 2 things. It could either mean it's an empty array that has been defined, like here, i.e. no errors have occurred, or it could mean that it hasn't been defined. So we need to check if it's set as well here. So if is set, errors equals false. Whoops. That means they haven't submitted the form yet. Else, it means they have submitted the form and there haven't been any errors. So here we have errors. Here they haven't submitted the form yet, and down here they have submitted the form and there are no errors. Okay, so well, let's fill out these bottom 2 first because they're the simplest. So we're just going to do some simple echo statements. Echo fill in the form to subscribe, and the other one, echo You have been subscribed. Thanks. Okay, this top one, what we want to do is, as I have demonstrated or used in my previous videos, we want to output each of these errors on inside a sort of list element. And before we did that with the for each loop, although that made it a bit sort of longer than it needed to be, lots of closing and opening PHP tags. So in this time we are going to use the implode function. I meant to actually mention this at the end of the last part, but I believe I didn't because I ran out of time. What implode does is returns a string. It takes two parameters. The first is a string and the second is an array, and it returns another string with each of those elements separated by the string. Okay, so let's just demonstrate that here. If I do echo implode, and then the string we're going to separate with is that vertical bar character, and then we're just going to pass in an array of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Obviously they need to be separated by commas, like so. So I'll reload our page now. You see, okay, ignore this bit. Oh no, don't ignore this bit. I'll just add, I'll submit the form. Whoops. Go back to here. So we get basically this array, but separated by this character. So we can use this to, it doesn't have to be a single character, which is sort of the result or effect that we're going to use to create our ordered list. Unordered list, sorry. So we just want to first echo the UL tag, so UL for unordered list, then echo down here the other closing UL tag, and in between here we want to output an li for each thing in the errors array. Now the implode function only puts things between the elements. We want sort of to wrap around them. So what we want to do is output an opening li tag, then the implode function, then output a closing li tag, like so. And then in between here we want to echo implode. The thing we're imploding with is a closing li followed by an opening li. So okay, I'll just fill in the errors array as well. So if you can just sort of follow this, say the first element, the first element will be an error here, and it'll be sort of separated by a closing li and an opening li. So for the first element, this li here will match with this one here. The sort of final element, this will match with this. Sorry, that should be an opening one there. This will match with this, and for the ones in between, this will be the opening tag and this will be the closing tag. That doesn't make sense at the moment, don't worry about it too much. It will sort of work. You can play with it yourself, and hopefully you'll work out what's going on. The final thing I'm going to do is sort of tidy this up a bit by just making it all into one echo statement. So we can echo UL followed by the li tag directly, like that, and then we can supply a comma separated list of other things to echo. So we're just going to change that to that, that to that, with the quote still there, and then that to that. So it's all in one line, just a bit nicer. Okay, so that's that pretty much done. So we can test this now. We get fill in the form to subscribe. If I hit sign up, we get these 3 error conditions. You can see that the implode method has worked. If I type in some letters for my first name and hit sign up, we only get the last 2. If I type in some letters of my last name, hit sign up, we only get the first name. If I type in a valid email address like bob@bob.com, hit sign up, we just get the 2 first and last name messages. Okay, so the final thing we're going to do in this part is make it so that the values that they use actually no, sorry, okay, we'll do that in this next part because I've only got 30 seconds, I won't be able to explain it very well. Okay, so in the next part we're going to make it so that the user enters values in here, and if errors occur they will be sort of preserved, so they don't have to retype it. Like you saw there where I entered my, they've disappeared, these boxes are empty again. We can have it so that these values are preserved, meaning they don't have to type everything out again if something goes wrong. Okay, so we'll do that in the next part. Okay, so join me then and we'll do what I just said. Okay, thank you for watching.